Hey, y'all. I won't be in a chat with this slut. I won't. But I wanted to play something for y'all, okay? Give me just a second. Let me get it pulled up here. Give me 1 second. Hold up. Audio release shows air traffic controller trying to reach Learjet 55 before plane crash. Give me 1 second, y'all. I ain't got time for Amber or none of Amber's fuckery. I will leave whatever chat she comes in.
Trying to reach the pilot before he went down.
056 on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010. Medevac Med Service 056 affirmative. On departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff. Medevac Med Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower, contact Philly 123.8.
Wow.
Medevac Med Service Northeast Tower. Medevac Med Service 056 Northeast Tower, you on frequency? Medevac Mike Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower, how do you hear this transmission? Medevac Med Service 056 Northeast Tower.
Damn. Hey, Harry. She did. She did. She went in there because I was in there and I left out. I sure did.
I'll get back to you when I can.
Approach to runway 24, what's going on down there?
Position 765, we have a lost aircraft. We're not exactly sure what happened, so we're trying to figure it out. For now, the field is going to be
This is
closed.
the crash that just happened,
inbounds or
y'all.
outbounds, probably.
All right, understand, thank you.
This is the crash that just happened.
So right now, we're gonna call the field closed. We'll try to get you out there when we can. If we can't, we'll have to take you over to Atlantic. But stand by for now. Medevac Med Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
I don't know,
Med Service
Denise.
056 Northeast Tower, contact Philly 123.8. Medevac Med Service North.
Here, Mark, it looks like this is ground zero.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of when I was trying to describe, because we don't want to disrespect the scene too much, and I don't. I hope
Damn. Y'all, they showed a picture of it when it was going down, y'all. It blew up. It blew up.
See some workers, using their phones and taking pictures, probably doing video walks.
If you back up here, can you just widen out here? And I just
for those that don't know, it appears to have been a medical transport plane. 2 pilots, 2 doctors, 1 patient, and 1 family member were in the plane. Oh my gosh.
I
see.
I know what Chewy's mom. That's why I left.
And then there's a house next to it.
That's why I left and fired my live stream back up because I ain't got time for her.
Well, no, I think it's that smoke is beyond. I think Steve was describing what he was seeing. That was also that was where closer to Roosevelt Boulevard, and I didn't see that earlier. We just started seeing that like about 10 minutes ago, and so right near Leonard Street, it's just a little beyond. This is where. So there's the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as you had described, a fire vehicle moved out of the way and gave you a clearer picture of the devastation on Cotman.
Yeah, there was no clear there was nothing
Oh my
clear earlier. It was just all cars and a couple big fire trucks just moved. And,
Yeah, my mama just
this
gave
is
me
what we're seeing now.
my certificate of
Yeah.
birth. Oh my
And
God.
And I don't even. I mean, I just can't even. You can't even describe because I just.
I gotta take a picture of this
I
and
don't
show
see people
y'all.
walking through there at all. So,
Yeah.
you, normally at these scenes you would just see them, walking through and looking through. But at this point, I would guess NTSB are the ones you got to wait for them to.
Well, yeah, they'll
be the ones
investigate
to walk through that.
They'll investigate the cause and try to gather every piece of plane they can possibly get their hands on. And the firefighters who arrived on scene, they probably went car to car, house to house, business to business to try to find anybody in need of medical attention. There's a car there that, I mean, talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, the fireball.
I might be able to go out in the street. Sorry, Jason.
Go ahead.
They police asked us to stay on the sidewalk, so that's where I'm at. And it's amazing that I can even see the shot. I might be able to go to the street a little bit. Let me excuse my moving here.
God, this is crazy.
I guess you get a better shot of the car only, but
Well, they got the fire department has their rescue lights blaring to try to see the scene better. Judging by their body language, they're just kind of walking around at this point. So you have to imagine anybody in need of medical attention has already received it and has been transported or whatnot. And now it's just they're kind of walking around in a daze, in a shock, it seems.
Right. It looks like a war zone out there.
exactly.
Did Devious end
No,
her live,
you called it
y'all?
Ground Zero earlier. That's what it seems like.
I wasn't trying to be rude,
these
but
scenes, you
I
see
ain't finna
people
be in no
running
chat
around.
where Amber is.
Yeah,
I'm
back
sorry,
and
but
forth.
I'm not.
Seeing that at all.
We're a little
Okay,
over 2
good
hours
deal.
into this. I mean, the plane reportedly went down at 6:30 tonight after taking off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport. And so 2 hours in, we're still trying to figure out exactly what caused that plane to just drop from
Hey,
the sky
Sarah,
and
how you doing, sweetie?
burst into a fireball.
Dawn,
and
if I can
crash.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead,
Can I
Mark.
just interrupt you for a second? I don't think we described this earlier, but I'm now looking at the house that was on Leonard Street. Earlier, we did not. I don't know if you had the shut up, but I did see fire crews walking through.
Walking
And
through the house?
I'm guessing they were walking through the house
Okay.
earlier. Yes, I don't know if we had that up. That's this house right here, but
Mhm.
that is not the case anymore. They're just still.
And does the house look
As-
burned
as we
out?
said
I mean,
earlier,
it does from our
It looks like a
vantage
If you look
point.
at
facade
this
is gone.
door, yeah, you look at the door. It looks like that. There might have been flames at the point.
Yes,
You
Suzanne.
see
It's another plane. A whole
Um,
different plane
Scorched
that done went
large,
the
down.
awning there looks like it's
Yeah.
burnt up. Yeah. Let me
Dang.
go back to the let me go back to the ground zero. Here we
This
go.
is
Here we go. They're walking through now. You see fire crews, but
And
again,
these
they're
crews
just
have been
walking through.
on the
Fox
scene
29.
for hours in these horrific conditions. It's rainy, it's cold, it's windy. And
I mean, you see the car that's burnt up. I'm seeing something in front of the car. I don't know
it
what that
is
is.
so sad.
It could
Yeah.
be from the plane. I can't tell.
Can
you guys tell what that is?
we can't. I would be shocked.
Like
if
a
those
car
actually-
upside
there's not a
down.
lot of plane
Yeah, we don't even
parts.
want to guess. Yeah, we
here.
don't even want to guess. Yeah, you can't even
But
guess.
you are looking at
Gosh.
Cottman Ave and Leonard Street, which is just northwest of the boulevard. But basically, it's Cottman between Roosevelt and Bustleton, and that's what you're looking at there. It's just a war zone. It's ground zero, as we're, I guess, calling it. And
right, horrific
yeah.
scene.
and can we show the ring camera of the two people coming into the house?
That's
again?
what I want to see.
This really gives you an idea of the ferocity in which this plane, this aircraft, came
Watch, y'all.
down.
Watch.
We'll pull that up in just a moment. It's a fluid situation. We are waiting on a police and officials to give us their first press conference since this happened. And I would imagine there's a lot to still be learned. I'm not sure how much they're even going to be able to tell us because the situation is so fluid. I'm not sure they'll have numbers or a lot of information about the number of people hurt. We've already heard conflicting reports about how many people were on this medical Learjet.
Right, and you can see
as many as
right-
6, as few as 2.
Exactly.
Dang.
And there's the mic there. We're waiting for a police spokesperson to come and
Hey,
give us a
BBs.
briefing on what they know at this point. And that's going to happen any minute now. And so hopefully we can clear up some of the numbers and get some solid information for you. But again, looking back here, this is Cottman and Leonard Street, our photographer, Mark Lavala, with this shot here. And he's, showing us this burned out car. You can see,
Yeah.
smoke still coming from the street there, and just.
You've got the Roosevelt Mall right on the other side of the street here, and there's a Raising Cane's, there's a Dunkin', and here's that video.
Yeah.
Watch,
take a look
watch, y'all.
Couple
Woo,
coming
wee!
home, and
Oh
the
my
door
God!
2 slams.
Can you imagine? Like she looks like she has something in her hand, the woman, and
Oh my
to
God!
have that happen, and it looks like 2 explosions.
He reacts before the explosion. He hears
Oh my
something falling
gosh.
from the sky, and
Yeah.
before you know it, he turns around and there's a fireball. I mean, look at the camera. You lose sight of everything. That's how
Oh,
bright
wow.
things were.
And I'm just curious. I'm just wondering where they are in relation
Oh
to
my goodness!
that fireball in the sky, because like you said, he stopped, so they were close enough to hear something loud, and we also have been hearing from other people that they heard an explosion.
Yeah.
So
and back live, but there's such a heavily populated area that there are many videos, different angles, different ring doorbell. There's some dash cams as well, and you better believe the NTSB will look at each and every one of them to try to figure out what happened. You just can't help but notice it's almost already a fireball before it hits the ground.
Right, and it's kind of surreal. And then we see that fireball in the sky, Jason, and then we see multiple fires on the ground, cars on fire, a house on fire, at a time of the evening when everybody is either headed home from work, from school, headed out for the evening. Again, here's this couple coming home and opening the door and just witnessing this disaster right before their eyes.
Yeah, the people on the ground, I can't even imagine what they.
It does like it was on fire before it hit the ground.
No warning.
It does.
Suddenly, a fireball right on Cotman, between Bustleton and the Boulevard, and now firefighters are there. Obviously they're still trying to make sure that there are no danger of fire. Let's go in now and listen to officials.
Okay, let's hear y'all. Let's hear.
Mayor Sherelle Parker, along with firefighters.
Let me start by thanking each of you for being here. I want to go through some basic facts about what we know for certain right now. An aircraft went down in the vicinity of Roosevelt Mall on Cotman Avenue. This occurred shortly after 6 p.m. this evening. As of right now, we have no reports on the number of fatalities. So right now, we're just asking for prayers for any and everyone who may have been affected. We do want to note that several dwellings and vehicles were impacted. So what are we asking you to do for us right now, Philadelphia? We're urging you to please stay away from the scene. If you see debris, call 911. Don't touch anything. This is still an active scene under investigation. I'm proud to note that all of our federal and state partners, they are either en route here or on the ground with us right now. We did see some neighbors who live in the surrounding community. Just stay in your home. Again, it's still an active scene and it's under investigation. This is only the first of many briefings, I'm sure, to come on this evening. And of course, when daylight comes, when we have more facts and information to share with you. But I do want to say a special thank you right now, again, to all of our federal and state partners and our amazing first responders right here in the city of Philadelphia. Our fire, our EMS, our police department, they have been here working vigorously to ensure that we get this perimeter and the surrounding area blocked off to ensure that we make public safety and health our number one priority. So we don't have any further information to share at this time. I've spoken to our Governor, Josh Shapiro. He is en route. I've spoken to our U.S. Senator, John Fetterman, other federal officials.
God,
everyone, all hands on deck.
That was
That's where we
crazy.
are right now. Thank you so very much, and we'll have more information to report
Damn it.
in the near future.
Thank you, Mayor. And that appears to be it.
That's what I was wondering too, Queen. Were they on oxygen? Because
there's so many things yet to be determined. So Mayor Sherrill
their
Parker,
oxygen can
the
spark
main
off.
point they're saying, if you come across debris, first of all, stay away from the area. Don't touch anything. And if you see any debris, call 911. So that's really was the gist of
She
what she had to
does. She
say
does sound
early on.
panicked, don't she, Natalie?
She had no
I was
information
thinking
on
the same
injuries,
thing.
fatalities, casualties on the ground. I would have liked to have known, what the hospital situations are like, what the triage units and some of the area hospitals are like. Still too soon to tell. You're looking on the right
True.
at
Yes.
what we believe
They
is
carry extra
Ground Zero,
tanks
where
as
this
well. They
crash
sure
happened on
do.
Cotman, and on the left, the mayor, along with the police commissioner Kevin Beckham,
So
and Adam Teal, the
it
managing
wasn't
director and
like
former
a
chief,
helicopter, like
is all there.
like
But
air
again, they
evac
did not
or
take
nothing like. It
questions.
wasn't that,
Just
was it?
a very stern
Are y'all saying it was an
ask
actual
of the mayor to
airplane?
don't touch anything. And
Jeanette and Steve Keeley both were saying that there were a lot of people who live in that neighborhood who had come out to see what was happening, to see the scene. Some people gawking, and basically the mayor is saying, please don't do that. Stay away from the scene.
Pediatric patient on board. Oh my gosh.
If you do see something that you suspect
Lord
maybe a piece of
Jesus.
wreckage from the plane, any kind of evidence
Oh my
that
God.
may be related to this huge disaster, to call 911, not to touch it, not to do anything, but basically, keep away from this scene.
Damn it,
And,
pediatric patient on board. Oh my gosh.
is closed to traffic right now. And the mayor, Jason, saying all hands on deck, that she had talked to Governor Josh Shapiro and that he was on his way to the city of Philadelphia to do whatever he can.
They were taking them to the Missouri hospital.
In this crisis the city is facing at this moment.
it's pretty shocking to think about, just 2 plane crashes.
It's on Fox. Okay, let me switch up, y'all. Let me switch up. Okay. Let me switch up. Let me find another stream. Give me just 1 second. Just 1 second. Fox News. NBC News. I got NBC News right here. Oh, wow. Hold up.
Zero 56 affirmative. On departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
Watch this.
Okay, and then shortly after that, the air traffic controller
Watch this,
tries
y'all.
to make contact with the plane on departure, and you will hear the pilot respond.
Watch this.
Medevac med service 056,
Damn it.
contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra, 056 medevac. Thank you. Good day.
And after takeoff, air traffic control tries to make contact with that pilot again. You will hear they get no response from the Medevac Med Service. Listen to this.
Medevac med service Northeast Tower.
That's what I was just playing
Medevac
for y'all.
med service 056 Northeast Tower. You on frequency? Medevac Mike Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission?
There are a few more attempts from air traffic control to make contact with the plane. Next, you hear air traffic control refer to the plane as a lost aircraft.
Damn it.
First to runway 24, what's going on down there?
Condition 755. We have a lost aircraft. We're not exactly sure what happened, so we're trying to figure it out. For now, the field is going to be closed, so no inbounds or outbounds probably.
Wow.
So air traffic control says then they were grounding all flights, no flights coming in or out. So that just gives us a better idea of the moments right after 6:05 when the plane left Northeast Airport, which, as we've been saying, is only about 3.5 to 4 miles away from that crash scene. Jacqueline and Fred?
We've heard from officials, timeline that said 6:30, and then we've seen the timestamp say 6:07 on numerous videos, and then the mayor saying shortly after 6 o'clock. So not much time from takeoff to the accident that happened here tonight.
And we're getting more information. Of course, in the beginning, the numbers will change. We've gone from 6 to 5 In terms of the breakdown right now, they're saying that there are 4 crew members who were
It
on
seems
board
like they
that
did, Flash.
medical plane, that jet, and 2 passengers, including a
Sweet Pea.
pediatric patient and an escort on board.
Damn
Whether
it.
that escort is a doctor or a family member, we don't know. And no names are being released right now, of course, because of, as always, notification to immediate family members.
Wow.
NBC 10's Shair Arias is live for us now.
Jacqueline, Fred, we just heard from the Mayor Sherelle Parker.
This
The
is
main thing that
crazy.
stood out to me was that when she started speaking, she
A
said,
little pediatric patient,
we
y'all.
want to
Oh
ask
my God.
everybody mainly
you
for
only
prayers,
imagine?
right? They said that they do not have a number on how many fatalities. They did say that homes obviously were
Hey,
affected,
Brinsley,
and
my husband
also
is a
that
pilot
vehicles
of an
in
air
that
medical
area
plane. He
were
just landed
also
a couple days
affected. They
away.
are urging the
An
public
hour
here in
ago. This is
Philadelphia
my
to stay away from this area because, of course, they are conducting this investigation. This literally happened after 6 o'clock. So you can imagine that anybody who doesn't even live around this area should not even be coming close. I'm going to walk a little bit around to show you guys
Y'all see
how
that?
massive
Oh
this scene
my
is. Still,
God.
obviously, it's not just 1 block or 2 blocks. You can see that this just extends all the way further down. And you can
Damn
see
it.
that actually right here in this one intersection, you can see all the homes, and the police are blocking that section right here because this is part, obviously, of the perimeter of where the police is right now. We're literally on Roosevelt Boulevard, and you can see that there's no vehicles that are passing. And if we move a little bit towards my left, if Adam can go ahead and show you guys, police are still in this area, of course, but we can tell that there is even more officers than there were when we first arrived. And now it is completely blocked off. At first, when we were here, people were kind of sort of trying to get in. We, as reporters, were able to actually be in that section. But now you can see that police have almost even turned off the lights in this area and blocked this portion of it where we can't get close, but we can still see, if Adam can go ahead and show you guys, the smoke that is still coming through where this accident happened. But the mayor, of course, saying that all hands on deck after this accident happened, and that more information will be coming throughout the evening. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Shaira, when we came to you the last time, you were in a very busy, heavily congested area. Now it's very quiet where you are. Is that because investigators and authorities moved you to a different location, or because people got out of this area and those roads are closed and they were heeding the advice to leave so that medical personnel could get closer to the scene?
I'm so glad that you asked that, Jacqueline, because I can feel how quiet it is in comparison to when we first arrived. And yes, at first people started to leave because officers were telling people that they needed to clear this area. And I think as time went by, people on their own were also deciding to leave because they maybe couldn't get through to where they were trying to get. Maybe they were trying to get to their homes. But definitely, I'm so glad that you pointed this out because it is so quiet in comparison to when we first arrived. And I feel like we can feel that right now police are just, and the officials are starting to get more information. And obviously it's just a massive tragedy.
I imagine it eerily quiet in many ways, Shaira. Thank you for that report.
Let's go now to
Thank you,
NBC 10
Jacqueline.
First Alert meteorologist Brittany Ship, who's been tracking the conditions here. You said earlier around the 6 o'clock hour or so that we would have at least 5 more hours of rain. What does that look like with what's happening now?
Yeah, we're going to track the future forecast, but we also want to take a look back at some of the observations at the time of this plane crash. Weather is always a concern when you hear about a plane crash, either weather or mechanical issues. So this is what we know so far. This plane took off from the Northeast Philadelphia airport, which is 3.5 to 4 miles away from the site. So we now know this is where the Northeast Philadelphia airport is. This is where the crash site is. We know that this plane was traveling to the southwest, and it was a very short duration from takeoff because it only got about 4 miles to the southwest. The other thing we start to look at is what were the observations at that time. The latest observation through the National Weather Service shows us visibility was at 6 miles. This would be about 10 minutes before, so at 5:54 p.m. Our wind speeds were out of the southwest at 10 miles per hour. We have definitely been dealing with rain throughout most of the day. That is the green that you see. We have our radar turned on at this time. So with the small plane crash that happened at Roosevelt Boulevard and Cottman Avenue, most of the day we have reports of low-hanging clouds, low ceilings. We've been dealing with rain on and off, and our wind speeds throughout the day have been ranging between 5 to about 12 miles per hour with these wind speeds coming out of the south. We also know that our temperatures have been in the upper 40s and 50s, so we were not dealing with any mixed precipitation. This was strictly rain that was coming down. And again, when we have these low clouds, it definitely makes it difficult for pilots to see, take off, and land. Now we want to switch off the radar and just show you the satellite. So we want to paint and illustrate the picture of just how cloudy it has been throughout most of today. We also have our live camera network to illustrate the low visibility. Now, behind all these clouds are actually the Comcast Technology Center. You can barely make it out because that's how low the clouds are hanging for today. We also want to show you the airport here. You can see the visibility is definitely decreased, especially north and east of the Philadelphia region. Within the last hour or so, our visibility has lifted to 8 miles, but for the past 2 to 3 hours, it was down to about 6 miles. We consider dense fog anywhere between 1 to 2 miles and even down to about 1/4 of a mile. So we were not dealing with incredibly dense, foggy conditions or extremely low visibility. We did have decreased visibility at around 6 miles. Our wind speeds, we've also been watching for you today. They have been ranging anywhere between 3
All right, Brittany, thank you.
Claudia Vargas is joining us now. I know you've been doing a lot of research over the past couple of hours. Are you giving us information on the plane?
I just spoke with the spokesperson for the company, Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, and they confirmed that they do not believe there are any survivors on this plane. They have confirmed that there were 6. 4 of those were crew. 1 was a minor, was a patient, and then that patient's guardian. They were actually all Mexican nationals. They were headed back to Tijuana today, and it's unclear if the pilots there had taken off previously from the airport in the Northeast, but they're very experienced pilots is what I'm told.
I couldn't even imagine coming down that fast.
And so they're saying that this is very rare and that it comes as a big shock to them that this would have happened.
And as far as we know, the plane was not in the air very long at all.
No, it had just taken off and it had just refueled, hence why we saw the big flames.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have a soundbite from the spokesperson.
Damn it, look how fast it's coming down. Oh my God.
What were they doing in the US? What were they doing in Philadelphia?
Medical care. The patient came to the United States for medical care. And the trip was a trip to repatriate her back. And much to our regret, it appears that there are no survivors from that crash.
Oh, man.
I'm so sorry. So was the patient receiving care here at a hospital in Philadelphia?
The patient was received. I'm not at liberty to say where and what, especially because it's a minor child. All I can say is she came to the United States for life-saving treatment. The treatment ran its course. She was ready to go home, and we were contracted to bring her back home to Mexico. The flight's ultimate destination was Tijuana International Airport, from which they were scheduled to go home by ground ambulance.
And another thing that Mr. Gold shared is that the flight was actually being paid by an international charity. So this was a charity giving to try to, as he said, repatriate the daughter and mother back to their country after receiving
What we
care
know
here.
is an angel flight.
Yes, correct. Sometimes referred to
So
as
tragic, a pediatric patient on board, as well as crew members, and as you told us now, a guardian. We didn't know if that additional person was a doctor or a guardian, but now that is clarified. Claudia, thank you for that update.
Thank you, Claudia. Let's go now to Aaron Baskerville, who is live for us now, or Siobhan McGurl, I'm being told now by the producers, who is on the ground now. Siobhan, what can you tell us?
Hey guys, right now we're at Roosevelt and Cottman. You can see it's quiet here right now. Roosevelt Boulevard shut down as police surround this area. I want to show you this gas station right here. We spoke with the man a little bit ago. He described the moment this crash happened. He was there. He says he looked up in the sky, he saw the bright lights, and then he says he closed the doors to the gas station because he saw debris coming down. We just heard from the mayor in that press conference here. They talked about the debris. They talked about cars on fire, homes on fire, impacted by this crash. You can see right now still a very active scene. All of the roads in this area blocked off. Police here, fire here, still very active. The mayor stressed to us that that would be just the first briefing of many. A long night
God, look how
ahead
fast
for
it's
sure.
coming
You
down,
know this
y'all.
area,
Oh
you
my
know a lot of
God.
businesses in the area. Very populated, but there's also neighborhoods. I want to show you back. If you look up just over this auto zone right over here, you can
Oh,
still see some of the
that makes
smoke
me sick in my
billowing.
stomach,
That's
y'all.
from that neighborhood area back
It makes
in
me
that
sick in my
way.
stomach.
Coming back a little bit closer, though, again, very quiet. The mayor stressed, asking Philadelphians to stay away from this area. It seems, though, at least where we are in this media kind of staging area, that people are
Damn it.
heeding that warning. She also stressed that if anybody sees any debris that we were talking about, that people have reported to us seeing, that they do not touch it, that they let the authorities know. A very, very fluid scene. I will say, though, as we've talked to people over time here who have seen this happen, there is shock, there is awe, there is a sadness. People just heartbroken and praying for those involved. Is still in shock as people talk to us who saw this happen, guys. Still really trying to comprehend and take a deep breath and process what they saw. Again, you can see very, very active here. We're pushed back to this media staging area. When the mayor came over, I will say that there was kind of a heaviness in the air
It was.
as she came over. Not
She
confirming
sounded
any reports on any
really
fatalities there, but
shaken
she
up.
did stress asking Philadelphians for prayers. Many of the people who I spoke with who saw this happen echoing that same sentiment tonight, guys.
All right, Siobhan, thank you.
An aircraft went down in the vicinity of Roosevelt Mall on Cottman Avenue. This
Hey,
occurred
Misty.
shortly after 6 p.m. this evening. As of right now, we have no reports on the number of fatalities. So right now, we're just asking for prayers for any and everyone who may have been affected. We do want to note that several dwellings and vehicles were impacted. So what are we asking you to do for us right now, Philadelphia? We're urging you to please stay away from the scene. If you see debris, call 911. Don't touch anything. This is still an active scene under investigation. I'm proud to note that all of our federal and state partners, they are either en route here or on the ground with us right now. We did see some neighbors who live in the surrounding community. Just stay in your home. Again, it's still an active scene and it's under investigation.
There you hear the news conference that Philadelphia Mayor Cheryl Parker gave just moments ago, where
Y'all
she
look
was
how fast
urging
it's
the
coming
public
down.
to stay
Damn it.
away from the scene,
Oh my
despite
God.
what curiosity may be,
Oh
because this
my
is still an
God.
active investigation. She said that
Ooh.
homes have been impacted, vehicles impacted, and urging
That's
folks
freaking me out.
to call 911 if they see anything on the ground,
That is
because this is
freaking
still
me
an active
out.
investigation.
We do want to go to Aaron Baskerville on the ground, providing excellent perspective for us. And he joins us now live again in Northeast Philadelphia. Aaron.
Jackie and Fred, it's hard to describe the witness accounts. A lot of them are
At least
startling.
200 miles an
They're
hour. Oh
unnerving.
my God.
Some of them are
Oh
actually
my God.
unbelievable.
And you've been watching breaking news out of Northeast
God.
Philadelphia, where a medical jet carrying a pediatric passenger and 5 others crashed just after 6 p.m. this evening. Coverage from WCAU NBC Philadelphia continues right now.
Inside, he saw the plane go down. He actually saw a ball of fire. He saw a person on fire walking away from some of the wreckage. We've talked to others who have seen cars on fire. Seeing
Did he
that
just say he saw a
fireball
person
light up the
walking
sky
away on
and then
fire?
light up this whole area that we've always been talking about for several hours? That you can't drive that point across enough. That this is a heavily populated residential area
Oh
right
my
here. And this
God.
is a main drag. Everybody in the city knows Cotman Avenue. Obviously, we're giving you one more look down here
Oh my
at that
God.
scene where all the first responders are, where we have been for a significant portion of the night. In the distance from what I'm looking at right now, I
It's
don't
on
see that
edge.
smoke billowing in the air
Let
like
me
we
see.
have been seeing for the last few hours. So I don't know if that's progress and putting out that situation right now. The mayor talked briefly. We also talked to a woman a little while ago who lives nearby that crash scene. She saw some of the damage. She obviously heard about what happened with the DC mid-air collision, and now this,
Damn it.
that, all of that had her unnerved. Here's what she told us a little while ago.
Actually, I was just sitting on my sofa watching the news about the plane crash in Washington, and never in my wildest dreams would have I ever thought that this would have happened
my
in this
God.
residential neighborhood like this. My heart just broke.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a portion of what she said. She said her heart broke. She said her heart was racing. She went on to tell me that she saw about 8 cars, at least a half a dozen cars on fire. She didn't actually see the plane go down, but she saw the aftermath, of course. And she was obviously devastated. She said she heard a bunch of popping noises as well shortly after that crash. So that's just one of the folks that we talked to out here. We are going to be, what we call in the business, turning around a lot of sound. That means we're going to be editing some sound and giving that back to you guys so you can hear some more witness accounts. We've talked to several people, and I can't even do it justice describing what they're saying to us. But
Like,
the
what
look
is
on
going
people's
on?
faces when
What is
them,
going
the folks that
on?
were actually out here,
Why
who actually saw
plane
it, or
crashes
saw
back
the
to back, back
aftermath,
to
or
back,
saw
back
the
to
big
back?
ball
This
of
is
flame
crazy. I ain't never
out
seen
here,
nothing
saw
like
the
it
cars
before.
on fire, or saw the folks running away from the wreckage, or saw the folks running to it. It's just something that will be ingrained in me and for anyone that was out here. But just once again, like, just turn around the camera real quickly, Mark. This is just a portion of the people that have been out here for hours in the rain. This is just one of the staging sites, so to speak, for the folks that live out here or have their cars out here or trying to get back to the buildings out here. This is where they're keeping them behind the rope. You can see right here as well as officers going through. You can see some of the Pico and utility trucks.
Misty, I
told
love
you
flying
before
because
that
it don't take me
I
nothing
know
but
a
an
couple
hour
of
and
the
45
blocks back
minutes to get
there
where
that
I'm
they
trying to
had
go.
turned off the power so they can get
But
some of
damn,
that
if we
crucial
having
work done as
plane
well,
crashes
right near the
twice
crash scene and
in a
right
fucking
close to some
week,
of those
I
homes
mean,
that were
come on.
damaged out there as well. But this is the road. This is the area down there. That is where all the action has taken place for several hours, and this is a lot of stuff you'll see too. There, I mean, officers are doing their job. They're keeping people away from this
Are you
area
serious,
and
Uncle
all
P?
areas here as we just pan the scene.
Are
So,
you serious?
a lot of witness accounts that we're going to continue to bring you over the next couple of hours. The one that sticks out with me is the man who did see the aftermath and tells me he did see somebody injured and on fire, but he couldn't tell me what happened
Oh my
afterwards.
God.
He couldn't tell me if that person ended up somehow, some way being okay, or he just didn't see where that person went to, of course. But yeah, just a tough day down here, and tough to really explain to you what we're seeing and what we're hearing out here, guys.
Aaron, every time we come to you, it seems as though the eyewitness accounts are more shocking than
Hey,
the
Roxy.
last, when people were
Hope you
describing
doing okay, sweetie?
the row of cars on fire. But now that you're saying a person you spoke with described a man walking away from the wreckage and on fire.
impossible.
He couldn't
So
be.
let me,
He
let,
could
let me,
not
let
have
me,
been there.
let
Came
me
about
so,
that
so Jack,
plane
let me
though.
tell you, which was unbelievable. You see a lot of
Ain't no
video,
way he came about
obviously
that
in a
plane
scenario
and got
like
up
this,
and
you're going to
walked.
see a lot of stuff. And we're obviously in the
He had to be on
field
the ground already.
and back at the station, we're doing our best to properly vet everything, right? To make sure that this video is, from this area, this person shot it, this person took it, all of the stuff that we have to do our due diligence, right? So I had seen that video and we were like, wow, this is obviously insane. Like we've never seen anything like that. And then when you walk up on somebody who's a witness who was there and he's telling you that exact same thing, and you didn't talk to him before at all, you didn't tell him about the video, and he's basically telling you exactly what you had saw hours earlier, and that's matching up and it's lining up. It's hard to describe. And you could tell when I was talking to him over there, and we have some of that sound that we're going to give you throughout the next couple of hours. We're gonna play that for you in a little while. But you could tell that he was still, his heart was racing. His voice like went up a couple of notches. He was still scared talking to me. And this was this was a couple hours after he had witnessed what he did. And he was still upset. And his voice was cracking as he was telling me that. And you can just see it in his eyes and his face. I mean, you're never going to see something like that. And most of us, hopefully, thankfully, will never see anything like that. And we all know that it's going to take a while to get through the investigation, but it's obvious that there are going to be some folks out here who are going to need some attention after
God,
this
look
is
how
done.
fast it was
Obviously,
coming
not
down.
just
Oh
for
my
the
God.
physical injuries that folks may still have out here, but also the emotional scars and injuries that they're going to have from what they've seen and witnessed out here over the last few hours, guys.
That makes me sick in my stomach every time I see that.
No, not at all.
Hey, Lynn.
It's one thing to see videos like this, as Aaron described, see people on their Ring cameras and their Nest cameras, and to see the plane go down and to see the huge ball of flames, but quite another for people who are there on the ground near that scene, and they're seeing these cars erupt in flames, and they're seeing people walk away from this wreckage on fire. Impossible to believe. And this is something that, of course, it's still the early stages of trying to
I heard from
figure out
Devious.
and
She's
bring
okay.
more information about what happened, what led up to it, and most importantly, the number of people injured on the plane, of course, and then also in that area of the many businesses and the residential properties.
Yeah, and we're hearing from many leaders who are weighing in on this devastation that has hit Northeast Philadelphia. Let's go to Tracy Davidson, who has a statement from Congressman Boyle.
Congressman Brendan Boyle, that's his district, the 2nd district in Pennsylvania. He knows the area very well, Northeast Philadelphia. He says tonight our community has experienced a tragedy. My heart goes out to the victims, their families, and everyone impacted by this devastating plane crash. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the first responders, especially our brave Philadelphia firefighters who acted quickly and courageously. Their dedication and service to our community are truly remarkable. He says he's been in contact with the FAA and the NTSB and will continue to follow their investigation closely. It's critical that we get answers. And also in touch with the mayor. We also heard the mayor say she's in touch with Governor Shapiro. Governor Shapiro
So they're
says he's
saying
offered all state resources to help
that's
with
why
this.
they had the
We
big
know-
planes,
also know
because
the
they had
ATF
just
is
fueled
on
up.
scene right now. We
They
do
had
know
just refueled.
NTSB and FAA investigating, with NTSB taking the
But
lead.
y'all look at how
Fred-
fast that plane came down. Oh my God, that makes me sick.
And we just heard from Claudia Vargas moments ago. We do know that a girl who was returning to Mexico after receiving treatment for an illness in the United States was among the 6 people on board the plane that crashed in Philadelphia, an Angel flight.
Yeah, so there were several crew members, but there was a pilot, a co-pilot, a physician, a paramedic, and then that minor
Oh my God.
girl patient and a guardian. Just devastating. We know about the nature.
I wish they would.
at least,
I
that
wish they
she
would
had
please stop
received
showing the
life-saving
plane dropping
treatment.
from the air,
And,
because that is literally
for all
making me sick
intents
in
and
my
purposes,
stomach
we
right
know
now.
that
It is.
the treatment went well.
Damn it.
And she boarded that flight with crew members, and the flight was just 4 miles away from takeoff before it went down.
Oh my
and
God.
they did not make it back. So just devastating news to hear.
Oh Lord,
But
y'all
the FAA
please
confirms
stop.
again 6 people on board that plane that crashed here in Northeast Philadelphia.
And it's hard enough to look at the video of the plane going down, but
Oh
that
my
much more
God.
difficult when you learn the stories behind the people who were on board that plane.
Yeah.
Making it even more difficult to digest. We're working on getting an aviation expert on the phone to speak with him. But this reaction is what is across the board. And these are just the few snippets that we are seeing from people who live in that
Are you
area
serious, Jax?
of
They said the
Northeast
airplane has a
Philadelphia
history of
and
falling
Roosevelt and
if the
Cotman
weight isn't
Boulevard. We
placed
saw Shea
properly.
Iris earlier.
Oh my God.
Initially, the area where she was standing was heavily congested, full of cars,
Oh
full of
God.
traffic.
Would
We
they
saw
please
people
stop showing
across
this
the street from where
video?
Shea was on
It's
the
making me
corner
sick in my
looking to
stomach.
try to get answers. And when we went to her a short time
Literally.
ago, that area now emptied, heeding the warnings from authorities on scene.
Are you
urging people
serious,
and
Wildcat?
demanding that they
Are you
evacuate
serious?
this area so
No,
that they
they're
could clear
fucking
the
not.
scene and get to the people who needed help.
Showing body
And that was the
parts.
message we heard from the mayor, Sherelle Parker, who gave her
Oh my
briefing a
God.
few minutes ago, telling us what we could see from the timestamp on several of these videos, that this aircraft crashed on Cotman Avenue shortly after 6 p.m. The mayor not confirming the fatalities that we know total 6, according to the FAA, but asking for prayers because of the devastation that this crash has done to the community. Several homes and vehicles impacted, on fire, burning, several folks having to evacuate their homes this evening. The power has been turned off and they have been evacuated because their neighborhood now is the scene of an airplane crash and an active investigation scene. The mayor urging people to stay away, not to touch anything, but instead to call
God, look
911
how
if they
fast
see any
it's falling.
debris
Oh my
out
God.
there. We know that there were federal and state partners that were either there or on their way to aid with this investigation. And we know that several hands from the Philadelphia Police Department are involved, along with the fire department, in securing this area as this investigation continues tonight. The mayor saying that this one briefing that she gave would be one of many on this incident.
And we also heard from Claudia. We know now that the plane that you just see right there descending so quickly behind those homes had just fueled up. Hence the big, huge flames and that ball of fire. It had just fueled, it had just taken off, and then descended so quickly. And
they're actually showing on CNN.
And you'd have to know that
On Twitter, they're actually showing the actual
outside, but to close windows and doors would have to
American Airlines
into
and the
that
Black
call
Hawk
because of the
helicopter
plane just being
crash
fueled
head on.
in
They're
fire.
actually showing this.
We want to go right now to Arthur Wilk, aviation expert right now, who we just spoke to regarding the plane crash 2 days ago in the Potomac River, DC. Now talking to you, unfortunately, about this tragedy that happened right in our own backyards. What can you tell us, what you know, and what you have learned so far?
I think the most important bit of evidence that we've seen so far is the doorbell video showing the aircraft descending at an incredible angle, like almost 45 degrees, which means that the airplane was out of control. No pilot would voluntarily descend any airplane at that angle. That probably resulted in the airplane striking the ground at over 400 knots and probably 5 or even 10,000 feet a minute going down that fast. So something overtook this flight crew, whether it was a mechanical malfunction that affected the pitch of the airplane, in other words, up or down, whether it was a flight control malfunction that wouldn't allow them to recover the airplane, whether there was an instrument failure in the airplane
Yours and mine
that
too.
would not allow
My
them to
anxiety is
fly
higher
the
than a
airplane under the weather
motherfucker right
conditions that
now.
existed, although there are duplicates of all those instruments with the first officer on the right seat. And so that is less likely. I think given the horrible destruction,
damn it,
the sad, utter and complete destruction of this airplane, I think much of the evidence will have to come from the cockpit voice recorder to see what the crew was talking about. And perhaps if they communicated their emergency to air traffic control, those air traffic control tapes might be helpful as well. And then that might drive the investigation to look at whatever small pieces there are left to see what, if any, malfunction there was.
Arthur, this was a Learjet 55. Can you talk to us about specifically what kind of plane that is and what it is typically used for and what the capacity is for an aircraft like that?
Well, the Lear 55 was an outgrowth of all the Learjets that we are all familiar with and have heard about over the years. It's a much larger version. It has a larger interior, and therefore it's used a lot now for medevac purposes because you can get stretchers and other kinds of equipment in there and out of there more easily than in the smaller Learjets. Very, very fast airplane. As fast as any airliner, even faster, flies very high up into the 50,000s of feet. Relatively fuel efficient, can fly a long way, and because it's so fast, if you have a medical emergency patient, it allows you to get them from place to place quickly. It's a two-pilot airplane. In other words, you have to have two certified flight tested pilots at the controls. It has fully duplicated controls.
Damn it, boy.
It's a very sophisticated airplane for its day. It hasn't been made probably for the last 15 or 20
I'm here
years.
for it. I have the
But
clip
it was
if y'all want me to play it.
a remarkable airplane when it was built and
Let me
continues to
find it.
fly
Give me
in
1
significant
second.
numbers around the world today.
Arthur, what does it tell you that we know this plane made that steep descent, but did it right after taking off? That plane had just taken off and also had just refueled. What does that tell you?
First, naturally, it would have to refuel. It had come in from, I believe, Miami earlier in the day. And then it was going to Springfield, Missouri, I believe, and therefore needed quite a bit of fuel. So nothing unusual about that. The airplane was at a relatively light weight, only 6 people aboard. That's not a lot. And even if you add the equipment, that's not a lot either. So nothing about the numbers of people or the equipment on board or the way it was configured would give you any indication why the airplane descended in the manner it did. Now, the way departure works out of Northeast Philly, because I fly out of there in my own jet, is that you're first given an initial altitude of, say, 2,000 feet. And then when you're radar identified by Philadelphia Approach Control, you're given a higher altitude. Sometimes it's an intermediate altitude of 4,000, then 7,000, then 10,000.
Yes, it was in Philly.
Probably been up to perhaps 4,000 or climbing to 4,000 at the time. So the airplane is in what I'll call the critical part of takeoff, where there are configuration changes. You've raised the flaps, you've raised the landing gear. You're now in the climb mode. First, you're in level flight at 2,000 feet. Now you're going to be changing the configuration to climb again. But for these type-rated experienced pilots, this is a no-brainer. I mean, and by this time the autopilot's on, so essentially you're a systems monitor. Having said that, the weather wasn't great. That doesn't mean anything for an airplane of that type, except that if something goes wrong, you can't see outside.
Let me play this for y'all, okay?
The instruments
Let me
inside
play
to be
this.
able to cope with it. If you have an autopilot failure or a sudden pitch down, that's a handful.
Reached the pilot before he went down.
056 on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010. Medevac Med Service 056 affirmative. On departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff. Medevac Med Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, my Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you. Good day.
Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower, contact Philly 123.8. Medevac Med Service, Northeast Tower. Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower, you on frequency? Medevac Mike Tango Sierra 056, Northeast Tower, how do you hear this transmission? Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower. Fifty-six or 98 Foxtrot Northeast Ground, Roger. Stand by one. I'll get back to you when I can.
Approach to runway 24, what's going on down there?
Pitch at 7:55. We have a lost aircraft. We're not exactly sure what happened, so we're trying to figure it out. For now, the field is going to be closed, so no inbounds or outbounds probably.
All right, understand. Thank you.
For 609 Foxtrot, I'm sure you copied that, but for right now, we're gonna call the field closed. We'll try to get you out there when we can. If we can't, we'll have to take you over to Atlantic. But stand by for now. Medevac Med Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, my Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you. Good day.
Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower, contact Philly 123.8. Medevac Med Service Northeast Tower. Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower. You on frequency? Medevac Med Tango Sierra 056, Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission? Medevac Med Service 056, Northeast Tower.
So that is what happened right before the crash.
Whether it's turning, all these things require everything to work in concert. And if something fails, or for example, if a pilot fails, you can get into trouble fairly quickly. Having said that, this airplane is a rocket ship, and therefore, and it's an extremely docile airplane to fly. You have to be good, you have to be experienced, but this is not the space shuttle. This is an airplane that was certified to be flown by 2 pilots of ordinary piloting skills. And the people who were flying it were probably far and above ordinary flying skills. So something happened. Something happened. You don't crash like this unless something untoward occurs.
Yeah, can you talk to us about what it would, what the challenge for investigators will be at this point, given the type of crash scene this is? We've covered plane crashes that happen in open fields where there aren't many people, but this is a neighborhood in a highly densely populated area, and the weather happens to not be in our favor as well. What kinds of challenges does that present for the preliminary stages of this investigation?
One of the things, of course, will be that people don't touch the wreckage. Because if there's a wreckage diagram that has to be made to try to get some sense of where things are, where things were, when they impacted the ground, things of that nature, that's a very important item, and therefore it's critical that people don't take home souvenirs. The second part of it is you've got this destruction all around you. You not only have the destruction of the airplane and the horrible fire that ensued, but you also have destruction of the environment in which the airplane impacted. And so you got to sort out what's the airplane and what's something else. What's a piece of a car? What's a piece of a house? What's a piece of something else? And so that becomes a challenge. And there will have to be a very extensive and expansive group of investigators on the ground who literally use their feet and have bags to pick up pieces of identifiable airplane parts and identify where they were found in the debris field. And that's going to be a tough job, I will tell you that, because this airplane looks to me like it was really obliterated. And that's going to make investigation tough. Having said that, if you are an experienced, seasoned investigator and the airplane is in shambles, then what you have to do is take what information you have and try to come up with what could have caused this kind of malfunction. What could cause this airplane to descend at that angle or at that speed all of a sudden, okay? And then once you go there, now you can work backwards into the wreckage examination. You look at the trim system.
Oh, Joyce, there were several homes hit. Several homes
the rigging
hit.
of the horizontal stabilizer, if there's any of it left. You look at the flight controls to see if there's any breakage. I will tell you, sadly, that just looking at the catastrophic wreckage, that's going to be tough. But it's not impossible. Looking at the maintenance history of the airplane will be important. What if this airplane had a prior problem with pitch control? What if there was an autopilot malfunction previously that resulted in a pitch down? If you look at all the Learjet maintenance data that's on the FAA databases, you may see that there are other Lear 55s who've had a similar problem on takeoff. And you may want to back into this accident
No, ma'am,
by
mama.
looking
It's
at some of the
NBC.
prior incidents that didn't result in crashes.
It's NBC.
So there are lots of ways to investigate these accidents, even when it appears that there's nothing but shreds of metal and burnt material on the ground.
Yeah. You talked about how this plane is used often for medical flights. Do we know if this type of plane used for this purpose would have oxygen tanks on board?
Oh, sure. It would have medical oxygen. In fact, we know it did because there was a medical oxygen tank found along a street that was on a video that I saw already this evening. So
yeah,
that is not uncommon. However, you can't rush to a conclusion. Some people have already, which is a mistake, that somehow the oxygen tanks contributed to this accident. I really feel quite certain that that's a red herring and it's not even worth going. Why? Because this airplane was not on fire.
Yeah.
You can see its descent. The airplane was not on fire. So if you're thinking that there was an oxygen tank that somehow caught fire and caused a problem with the airplane, that's not indicated by the video that we see.
Yeah, that descent is very troubling and certainly will be a focus, as you say. Arthur Woke, thank you so much for your insight and your time as we look into this developing story. Thank you.
Sure.
I want to go now to NBC 10's Tracy Davidson, who is in our newsroom now.
You're welcome.
With more information. Tracy?
Fred, we're learning more about the plane and its takeoff. FlightAware shows the plane took off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport at 6:06. We have learned it was only in the air for 30 seconds. Look at the flight path on your screen. That green line
30
shows how far
seconds.
the plane made it.
30
1,600 feet in
seconds.
the air. We also have recordings from air traffic
30
control from the moment the
seconds.
plane took off, and we'll walk you through exactly what happened. Let's listen to the initial communication.
Medevac, mid-service 056.
I just played
On
this.
departure,
Y'all a little
turn right
late.
heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010.
All right, that's the plane preparing for departure. Next clip that you're going to hear is when the plane was cleared for takeoff.
Medevac, mid-service 056, affirmative. On departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
And then shortly after that, air traffic control makes contact with the plane on departure, and you'll hear the pilot respond.
Medevac, med-service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, my Tango Sierra, Kilo 56 medevac. Thank you, good day.
Thank you, good day, is what he says. After takeoff, air traffic control tries to make contact with that pilot again.
Hey, Shay.
You'll hear they get no response from the medevac service.
Medevac, med-service Northeast Tower. Medevac, med-service 056, Northeast Tower, you on frequency? Medevac, my Tango Sierra 056, Northeast Tower, how do you hear this transmission?
And then there is no response. Air traffic control says that they are grounding all the flights, no flights coming in or out.
Did they start? The airplane had
What's going on down there?
had only been in the air 30 seconds, y'all.
We have a lost aircraft. We're not exactly sure what happened, so we're trying to figure it out. For now, the field is going to be closed, so no inbounds or outbounds probably.
Again, we walked you through that timeline. The plane was only in the air after takeoff for 30 seconds before it went down. We should also add that we are hearing from a number of people about that debris that you're seeing scattered across the area, and really some rather large chunks. You heard Mayor Parker say, if you see a piece of debris, please stay away from it. Don't touch it. Call 911. You really need to stay. And I've heard from a nurse who said, please, I'm seeing it in your
Got it,
live
girl.
shots. Tell
Yes,
people
another
to stay
plane just
away.
crashed.
And I saw with Aaron being with so many people, even though police are telling people evacuate the area, there are onlookers and they want to see. And then you just heard Arthur Walk say, this is not the time to take
Oh my
a piece of
God.
a souvenir from this. You need to really, really be safe and stay away from all that debris, Fred.
Yeah, that is
Right,
very
because
good
they're gonna need to know
insight.
the cause
Tracy
of
Davidson,
this
thank you from our newsroom.
airplane
And that will
going
be the
down.
challenge, really, as they continue this
God, look at
investigation,
it.
why
Oh
they've
my
been pushing
goodness.
people
Stop
back
playing
so
this
far, because the
video.
field of investigation and the interest, the area
It's
is
freaking
growing
me
wider
out.
because of the impact of that plane, for debris to be strewn about
Oh
so
my
far
God.
away. These are all areas of interest for investigators. And we just heard from Arthur Woke talking about this video that we have seen played out from
Oh
different angles
Lord
over and
Jesus.
over again.
Oh my
The
goodness.
speed and angle of the descent of that plane is very troubling and very telling.
Oh my
Woke
God.
saying that that will probably be one of the first red flags that investigators look at that would indicate that something was wrong, something was malfunctioning, instrumentation in that plane duplicated. So obviously it couldn't be
Oh
corrected
God.
by both pilots on board.
We want to right now go to First Alert meteorologist Brittany Shipp with a look at the conditions.
And just so y'all
and
know, I
details
will
about the
keep
map.
y'all
Yes, and we've
updated
just
on this
visually
plane
been trying to
crash.
put this
I will keep
puzzle
y'all
together,
updated.
and we do know that this plane
I will
took
let
off
y'all
from
know
Northeast
everything that they
Philadelphia
find out,
Airport
okay?
just after 6 p.m. And we also know, just due to the location of the crash site, that it was only able to make it about 4 miles. So
Oh,
the
Joyce,
latest
I'm so
reports coming in
sorry. Oh my
is that it was
gosh.
in the air less than
Oh
a
my
minute.
gosh.
These jets tend to move anywhere between 130 to about 170 miles per hour. So again, only in the air seconds before crashing here, tracking here to the southwest. And the airport is only 3.5 miles from that exact site. We've been watching and studying all of the observations around the time that the plane took off.
Ooh.
Yes, it was actively raining. Visibility
Let me see if
was
we got another
reported
channel
from
on it,
the
y'all.
airport at
Let me see.
5:54 at 6 miles. Wind speeds out of the south at 10 miles per hour. Cloudy day. Lots of rain, not incredibly heavy, however. So over a long duration of most of today, we will probably only pick up maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain. So this wasn't even heavy rain. It is still currently raining at this time. We have more moderate downpours. This is our radar shot here where you see the yellow. That means moderate rain is currently coming down. We do know that low clouds do make it difficult, not impossible, but difficult to see, take off, and also land. So we had the low-hanging clouds, the lower visibility, but not incredibly low. 6 miles is still okay. And anytime we see dense fog or incredibly low visibility, we're talking less than a mile. That's not what we had today. You definitely had weather as part of a factor here in terms.
Okay, we're gonna switch back
Where
here.
does the air
We're gonna switch
get
back here for
really
a sec.
cold? In other words, below freezing, and that was 2 miles up. So the whole time the plane went up, it was in above freezing air, so ice was not a factor for this plane. In terms of the conditions, there were some light rain falling at the time at that airport. Clouds were really low, and I was just looking at the city skyline, and you can tell there's some of the buildings we normally see we can't see because this cloud deck is so low. And to give you a feel, you know when it's a blizzard and you have those whiteout conditions you can't see in front of you? That's what the pilots had to deal with when they went up in the sky. Now, this is common when you have overcast and rain falling. You're going to have these whiteout conditions just because of the thick clouds. Those were only a couple 100 feet off the ground at the airport, about 600 feet off the ground at the time. So the plane quickly was in these sort of conditions where it couldn't see. And then, from there, we don't know exactly what happened, but it does not sound or look like icing was a factor for that. So certainly some light rain when the plane took off. As for the conditions right now, we have wind gusts in the 20-mile-per-hour range, so the wind's starting to pick up a little bit. And also, as you mentioned, Dawn, the rain is getting heavy. We went from light rain at the time of when this issue happened at Northeast Philly's airport to the rain picking up a bit more, and it will continue to stay a little bit heavy over the next hour. In fact, as I look at live a little bit Doppler radar here in the Fox 29 weather.
Only made it 4 miles. It was only in the air for 30 seconds before crashing.
Yeah.
This is
Aaron
crazy.
Baskerville is standing by now with more on the ground. Aaron, you've been providing some very compelling and personal insight from people on the ground who you've encountered, who witnessed all of this unfold.
Yeah, quite frankly, just to be honest with folks out there, it's quite unnerving, and it's to me, who I've seen a lot, it's extremely shocking. We've talked about the weather and the rain, and we've talked about the mayor and others wanting people to leave this area, not be onlookers, so to speak. And the more it rains, maybe that works in their favor of folks leaving this area and not staying here. But just a quick turn, really quickly, Mark, right there. There are still folks that are still out here, so they haven't left yet, but the crowd seems to be dying down and thinning as this rain continues. And the rain does come in fairly different waves too. So it comes hard. Right now it's starting to pick up as well. We are still near Cotman and Bustleton, the area we've kind of called our home base for now. We have crews on the other area where the staging area it is. And maybe shortly we'll be hearing from Governor Shapiro. But yeah, we've talked to a whole bunch of folks. Last time we talked to you, we talked to the man who was right over here and basically says if he was there a couple minutes later, he doesn't know if he could be one of the folks that was injured or suffering some other sort of fate. He also said that he unfortunately had to see a man that he believes that was on fire, well, a person on fire. I told you that we'd turn that sound around for you. Here's this guy. Listen to him as he describes being here and kind of what he saw a couple hours ago.
Everything just shook. I thought like the buildings fell or something. I look outside and then all you see is a huge explosion. I look outside and bam, you see all this fire. And I started shaking and then I see a person running on fire. And it was just...
So you saw a person on fire running, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw a
Yeah.
video of that, but you actually saw that, right? So once again, are you running outside? Tell me what you're doing
I didn't know what to do. I was just there. I was just shook because it's like something crazy. You just see somebody on fire. Like that's something you see in a movie.
Wow.
I mean, that's the only thing you can really say at that point. That's something you see in the movies. You never expect to see that in person.
Wow.
and feet away from you. And I can tell you, while we were talking to him, his voice was cracking. You can tell that he was nervous. He was still scared. He was still on edge. I mean, this is a couple hours after the fact, but he was still had that feeling in his body. And for a quick second, he wasn't even going to talk to us. He kind of didn't want to talk. He was with another family member, and he was moving on down the sidewalk. But he started to talk to me and give me this kind of first person account that I hadn't heard yet, that I thought was just, startling. And he was gracious enough to give us some of his time and talk to us. But you can just hear it there. We have some more sound from him that we're going to give you guys later on. Over the next hour or so, and just a lot going on here. But once again, here, this is where we've been for most of the night. You can still see a heavy presence of police officers and stuff. But the main thing is that plume of smoke that we were seeing for a long time, that seems to be out now, which is good news. And now we're just continuing to wait to get that update. The mayor saying that there are casualties, there are injuries, but she wasn't ready to give a figure or a number. She said there are homes damaged, there are cars damaged. But once again, this is such a fluid situation where things are changing by the minute, the moment, that she wasn't about to give us a number on that as well. But just being out here for so long, I can tell you that the weather is playing a factor right now in terms of getting people away from the scene, getting people away from the neighborhoods over there where this work continues. And I told you earlier that they had cut power to at least a block over there to continue the work. So folks were being evacuated or told to leave that area as well. But there's still some folks in their cars, but just, it's hard to describe. I keep saying it, and I know I sound like a broken record, but when you're here and you see it and you feel it, it's a whole different scenario. When you're up close and personal, where a lot of these folks who saw this, and some quite frankly telling me they believe they escaped with their lives and escaped from being injured. That's how close they were when this entire area was engulfed in flames, guys.
And startling and disturbing for people out there. And you are doing a great job of describing what you're seeing on the ground. Aaron, thank you.
And what we have learned in the last couple of hours, while there's still so many questions, we have learned details about that plane that went down. Let's get more information out from Claudia Vargas.
Yeah, so I spoke with a spokesperson for the company that owns the airplane, the Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, and they, as I shared previously, shared with us that all
Granny,
6
yeah, I'm
passengers
not
were
for
Mexican
sure where
nationals.
it hit
It
yet.
was including a patient, that patient's guardian, 4 crew members, and they were all heading back home after the patient had been getting life-saving care. Now, when
I hate
spoke
that
with
video.
the company, I asked about the aircraft, the experience that they had, and they said these are pilots who are extremely experienced. They fly about 600 hours or 600 flights, each year. And here's a little bit more of that exchange.
Have they flown out of this airport in particular before?
I don't have the flight records in front of me. Obviously, I'm not at the office. This caught me by surprise, like everybody else. So I cannot tell you if they actually were experienced in taking off from that airfield. But in general, I can tell you that our company is probably one of the most experienced air ambulance companies in the Americas. We do between 600 and 700 flights a year. Our pilots are extremely experienced. Our co-pilots as well. They all are licensed. They all are certified for the aircraft. This was a reliable aircraft. This was a Lear 55, long range Learjet in the Learjet family of airplanes.
I'm looking up what a lyric
Well maintained.
right now.
So to us, it's a shock. It's a surprise, and we will wait for the results of the NTSB investigation as to what happened here.
And so you heard him there. He said it's a reliable aircraft. He said they constantly do maintenance on it. And so they're really at a loss for what happened here.
And of course, the mystery, as we heard from the aviation expert as well,
It's a nice legit.
talking about the descent of it and the speed and that pitch of 45 degrees. And when we hear how experienced the crew was on board and in terms of the plane, how long it is, what, 600, 700
600
flights?
to 700 flights
So,
a year, yeah.
a lot of questions and answers still to come.
Claudia, thank you. Yeah, we want to go to NBC 10's Tracy Davidson now, who is standing by in our newsroom with more. Tracy.
The president has just released a statement saying, so sad to see the plane go down in Philadelphia. More innocent souls lost. Our people are totally engaged. First responders are already being given credit for doing a great job. More to follow. God bless you all. We're also hearing from Secretary Duffy, who said that he had briefed the president and he had briefed Governor Shapiro. We are expecting to hear from Governor Shapiro shortly. You heard Mayor Parker say he was on his way. The secretary says, I've offered full support of the Department of Transportation to the governor and
Learjet
local
can go as
officials.
fast
As
as
we know, FAA and
541
NTSB
miles
will be
per hour,
investigating. We also know ATF is on scene.
541.
We also got this statement from the American Red Cross. Our hearts go out to all those affected by the tragic incident. A team of trained Red Cross disaster workers is on scene to help those who have been displaced. Again, we know that at least 3 homes were impacted by fire. We're working with our city, state, and federal partners to assess any other needs that we can assist with. Any other updates can come from the Office of Emergency Management. We have been updating you with statements that they have been saying. And I think people are listening as we watch the crowds sort of start to dissipate from where Aaron is anyway, and leave the area, be safe, stay away from all the debris. And Office of Emergency Management was very concerned in the very beginning when we had the black smoke with what could potentially be in the air. And they were telling people, get inside and close your doors. Fred and Jackie?
All right, Tracy, thank you. And I want to go back to what Claudia was talking about in terms of just the expert she was talking to about the company that was running this air ambulance flight. 600 to 700 flights a year, one of the most experienced air ambulance companies in the Americas, a well-maintained plane. And when you put that with Arthur Woke and his account
anybody
of
know
this
the
Learjet
name of this
55
ambulance
being
service?
a durable plane,
Does anybody
a
know the
plane
name
that
of it?
flies long distances with excellent pilots. And what he said about the pitch of that plane going down, this sounds like an aberration, like something that just wouldn't normally happen, and very troubling to see. Clearly, as we heard from our aviation expert, the instrumentation on this plane was duplicated. And there were many measures in place, checklists that these pilots go through to avoid any kind of malfunction or anything out of the ordinary. And they're well-trained pilots that spend many hours on these flights.
And if I can let our control room know, the button was pressed down, so I was unable to hear a lot of what was being said. I was hearing the
Jet
control room where the
rescue. Okay.
producers are for
Jet
about
rescue.
a
Okay.
minute of
Thank
that time.
you.
So I believe that is fixed now.
Yeah, but we are seeing video of this play out over and over again, where you can see the impact of that crash and the reaction from people on the ground. You know, and even at this hour, we're still seeing folks who are shaken and devastated by the impact of this crash, and we're hearing responses and reaction from federal officials. We heard a response from the president and from the governor and from several local leaders here in Philadelphia.
And when we hear descriptions from witnesses like Aaron Baskerville spoke to, saying that he saw devastating scenes. People were describing the cars on fire, and then someone who witnessed a man walking away from the wreckage in flames. All of those point to the devastation and fear of what we will learn over the next few hours and over the next couple of days about the injuries and casualties involved in this.
NBC 10 Siobhan McGurl is on the ground
Thank you,
now
Harry.
with more from her vantage point of what we're seeing at this hour. Siobhan?
Hey guys, we moved back into one of the neighborhoods, more the residential area. We know just across on the other end, that's Cotman Ave. So we know that this crash happened in a really populated area with businesses, but also homes. These homes are right near where this happened, affected now. We spoke with some people. You can see just on the other side of the barrier, we've seen people go in and out to grab some items. They told us that right now their homes don't have any power or gas. They're not sure when they're going to be able to return. I'll also tell you on this neighborhood road that the police have been asking, do you live here? Do you live here? Otherwise, they're not letting people access this area. It is shut down to road traffic. We have the barriers up. We've also seen some people as they walk by. I spoke with another woman who lives just a block down, so really close to where this crash happened. She said she was actually inside with her family celebrating a birthday. When the explosion happened, they stepped outside, kids with them, to see fire, to see the smoke. Just extreme moments of fear, she said, trying to understand exactly what happened. We've heard a lot of that from people tonight, trying to wrap their heads around exactly what they saw and just how close this is, hitting close to home for so many, as you can see, in such a residential area here. We're on St. Vincent again, just on the other side of Cotman. A little bit earlier, I also spoke with a man who was at Cotman and Roosevelt at a gas station there, and he described an extremely frightening scene. He says that he looked up, he saw the sky again turn bright, with what he said seemed like an explosion, and then he closed the door because there was debris coming his way. I know we've talked about that debris. He says he gave it a moment, and then he ran toward the flames. He told us. He said that he could see the cars on fire, homes on fire, just incredibly terrifying. He said he was still in shock as he was telling me what he saw. We'll take a soundbite from him. You can hear just how emotional it was and what he saw in those moments.
Was at the door over here at the gas station, and all you heard was this loud bang when the whole building started shaking. You literally right here, you could see a whole flames just engulf inside in the sky. Like there was huge fireball going in the sky. So I tried to, keep the door shut because debris was flying over here, and customers were trying to run outside and stuff. I didn't want any of our customers to get, hit by any objects flying in the air. So I tried to keep the door shut. After a while, I opened it up and I went to go run over there to see, what exactly happened. And a lot of people over here like in shock, like just scared and like running and screaming. People were crying.
Again, shock, fear, you heard it there. That man also told me he's feeling a lot of sadness. He said that he ran that way because he wanted to do something to help, but when he got there, he said there wasn't much to do. He didn't know what to do other than he was there so early that he was seeing the first responders arrive on scene, and he said that he was just pointing to the firefighters, here, and that was what he was feeling in the moment. Again, just still in shock as he recounted that to me. Back here live in this area, again, we're on St. Vincent, just on the other side of Cotman, these homes affected. You can see some people walking here. Police have been asking people if they're in the area, hey, do you live here? Where's your home? That kind of thing. They're asking people to stay away from this area, as we heard the mayor ask people a little bit earlier today to stay away from the area. It is quiet here. You'll see people walk by every once in a while, but it's pretty quiet. And again, police have this road shut down to traffic as well. Just one more time,
All
I want
right,
to show you, they have
y'all.
these
Well,
barriers up
if they
to the
have
actual
any
streets
updates,
here with homes where these people
if
live.
they have any
And the
updates
people
on
we spoke to, they were
anything,
going in to
or
get the
you
law.
know, let me check, make sure. Any more updates? Give me 1 second. This is so sad. So sad. Was Savage supposed to go live tonight, y'all? What time is Savage supposed to go live? Let me see. I don't see him, but Savage, schedule your live. Schedule your live, sweetie. Let me see what else we got going on here, you guys. See if there's anything else. Okay, here, thank you. Love Cloud.
Just in shock. And that woman who I spoke with who was having the birthday
It was an
party,
airplane crash.
and then to step
Yes, Love
outside and
Cloud,
be,
I'm fine. It was an
pulled away from that and instantly
airplane crash.
see, go running
Allure
towards fire
Jet
and try to explain to those
55.
kids what was going
I
on.
think that's what they said it was.
Incredible stories and tough to wrap your mind around out here, guys.
Siobhan, thank you for that. Right now, we want to go back to Aaron Baskerville, who is near that scene as well, with a councilman. Aaron, what do you have?
Yeah, Jackie.
Oh
we
my
just ran into
God.
Councilman
Oh
Keith and
my
Phillips right now. I know
God.
we're waiting for the governor to talk. I know you're just arriving on scene. What are people telling you? What do you want people
Oh
to
my
know?
God.
You know, first, let's just say that hearts go out to all the families, the victims that are going through this right now. But
Oh my
what we've been
God.
hearing from residents, I mean, my
wow.
district that I represent is literally 3 blocks away from this tragedy, and residents are wondering, literally, like, what's next? The plane crash that happened earlier
Hoghead
this
was
week.
dragging. Who Hoghead was dragging? Thank you, Misty. You welcome to Skulls. This is so sad. All right, y'all. Well, she was dragging Savage. Okay. I hope Savage does go live on that bitch. Other than that, y'all, if there are any news, any updates, like how this plane crashed or anything like that, I will come back live and I will update everybody. Make sure that y'all have y'all notifications set for tomorrow, because if you are a member on my YouTube channel, you will get to see my daughter compete in her beauty contests, her beauty pageant. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right. I love you all. Talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.
Then a fantasy, lonely, like a highway. She's living in a world, and it's on fire. Oh, no, oh, I cannot, no. Not on these platforms, won't let defeat. Close up my street, feel the heat. I'm on fire, I'm not discreet. You got the fever for some. Can you taste my name? It's flavor, don't you? Oh, she got both feet on the ground and she's burning it down. Who claimed perfection? Must have been you. I own my faults for the things I do. Do you? Ooh, in these YouTube streets, I'm making my mark, not backing down, lightning the dark. You got the fever, taste my name. name, it's any flavor, flavor, don't you? This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Taste my name, taste my name as you watch my flame on these YouTube streets. Ooh, you got the fever for some flavor. Taste my name, it's flavor, flavor, don't you? She's just a girl, but she's on fire, 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 yeah. Taste my name as you watch my flame on these YouTube streets. Ooh, you got